Hello, and welcome to another second grade episode of Math Matters. I'm Mrs. Hale, and today we are going to learn about time. During today's lesson, you'll be learning to do the following. I am learning to correctly identify the hands on a clock. I am learning to count by fives to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes. I am learning to use correct notation to record the time. Also, as you are working today, you will have an opportunity to practice your portrait of a graduate, goal-directed and resilient skills by not giving up when something is hard and by staying on task during our lesson time. For today's lesson, you will need some paper and a pencil. I will give you a minute to gather what you need. All right, come on back so we can get started. Take a minute to think about time. Why do we keep track of time? I will give you some time to think. Say why you think we keep track of time out loud. Some ways that you might have thought about include cooking. We keep track of time so that we can fully cook food and not burn it. We keep track of time when following a bus schedule so that we know when to catch our bus and when it will arrive at our destination. Another reason that we keep track of time might be to know how fast you can run. And we keep track of time so that we know when stores open and close. There are lots of reasons why we keep track of time. Did you think of any other ways that we use time? How do you know when time has passed? We have to know how to keep track of time. What tools might you know of that help us keep track of time? One way that we keep track of time is by using clocks. Clocks help us keep track of time. They come in many different shapes and sizes. Another way that we keep track of time is using watches. You might find time on a watch, a Fitbit, or a cell phone. And timers help us keep track of time. You might keep track of time by setting a timer on a microwave, using a stopwatch, or by watching the time change on a scoreboard. As you go about your day, see where you find tools that help you keep track of time. You learned a little bit about time in first grade, so let's take a minute to remember some important words we use when talking about time. There are two different types of clocks that we typically use. A digital clock shows time using numbers. A digital clock is what you see most often on cell phones, clock radios, and microwaves. The other type of clock is called an analog clock. This type of clock has numbers arranged in a circle. An analog clock has lines or arrows called hands. There's an hour hand and a minute hand. The short hand is the hour hand, and the long hand is called the minute hand. You might think of hand as part of your body, but when we talk about time, we are thinking about hands as hours and minutes, not the part of our body. An analog clock also has a face. That is the circle with numbers on it. You might think of a face as part of your body, but when we talk about time, we are talking about the circle with numbers, not the part of your body. We are going to play same but different. I will show you some pictures, and you have to find ways that the two pictures are the same and ways that the two pictures are different. Are you ready? What do you see that is the same? What do you see that is different? You might want to think about using words like hour hand and minute hand. I'll give you some time to think. Some ways that they are the same is that they are both clocks. Another way that they are the same is that both clocks have an orange hand that is the hour hand. A way that the two clocks are different is that the first clock has an hour hand that points at 8, and the second clock has an hour hand that points at 2. Another way they are the same is that both hour hands are short. Both have green hands that are the minute hand. Both minute hands point to the 12. Both minute hands are longer than the hour hands. And both clocks show o'clock times. A difference is that the first clock shows 8 o'clock and the second clock shows 2 o'clock. How did you do? Did you find ways that the pictures are similar and ways that they are different? We're going to try another one. What do you see that is the same? What do you see that is different? This time, you might want to think about using the words analog clock and digital clock. I will give you some time to think about ways that these two are similar and ways that these two are different. Okay, both of these clocks are the same because they both show 3 o'clock. They are different because the first clock is an analog clock and the second is a digital clock. They are the same because you can see 3 as the hour on both clocks. The red arrows show you where you can see the 3 on both clocks as the hour hand. They are different because the minute hand on the analog clock points to the 12, and on the digital clock, the minutes show 0, 0. Another way they are different is that the analog clock is a circle and the digital clock is a rectangle. Did you think of any other ways? Reading the hour hand is an important step in reading analog clocks correctly. Remember, the hour hand on clocks is the shorthand. We are going to look at clocks that only have an hour hand. Look at the hour hand. What number is the hour hand pointing to? The hour hand is pointing to the 1, so it is about 1 o'clock. About where would a minute hand be if it is 1 o'clock? The blue minute hand shows where the minute hand would be. Look at the hour hand. What number is the hour hand pointing to? It's a little past what number? It's a little past 6. That means the time is a little past the 6 o'clock hour. About where could the minute hand be? The blue minute hand shows where the minute hand could be if the time is a little past 6 o'clock. Let's look at another one. Just look at the hour hand. It is about halfway between two numbers. Which numbers is it between? It's about halfway between 10 and 11. That means the time is past 10 o'clock, but has not yet gotten to 11 o'clock. If the hour hand is about halfway between two numbers, about where could the minute hand be? The blue minute hand shows where the minute hand could be if it is halfway between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. It could be about 10:30. Now that we've practiced reading the hour hand, let's practice reading the minute hand. You can use what you know about counting by fives when reading the minute hand. Let's count by fives together, starting at 0. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. How did you do? Now, let's count by fives on a clock face. Count out loud as the numbers show up. We're going to start with 0. Ready? 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. How long does it take for the minute hand to go around the clock? It takes 60 minutes. There are 60 minutes in an hour. Now we are going to put it all together. We're going to read the hour hand and the minute hand to determine what time it is. The hour hand is between what numbers? The hour hand is between 3 and the 4. What does that mean? If you said that it is past 3 o'clock, but we haven't yet gotten to 4 o'clock, then you were right. So, the hour is 3. Do you see how the hours are in red? We always write the hour first. Now, let's look at the minute hand. Remember, we have to count by fives. How many minutes is the minute hand showing? 30 minutes. Do you see how the minute hands are colored blue and the 30 is in blue? We write the minutes after the hours. The time is 3:30. It is 30 minutes past 3 o'clock. Now you try. First, read the hour hand. Then, read the minute hand. You can use your pencil and paper to write down the time. I will give you some time to think and to work on your own. Did you write the time? The time is 8:35. How did you do? The hour hand is between 8 and 9, so it is past 8 o'clock but has not yet gotten to 9 o'clock. The minute hand is showing 35 minutes past 8 o'clock, so it is 8:35. Let's try another one. Read the hour hand and then the minute hand. Write the time on your paper. I will give you some time to think and work on your own. The time is 5 o'clock. How did you do? The hour hand is pointing exactly to the 5, and the minute hand is at the 12, which says o'clock and is written 00. Okay, this is the last one. Read the hour hand and the minute hand. Write the time on your paper. I will give you some time to think and work on your own. The time is 10:15. How did you do? The hour hand is between 10 and 11. So we know it is past 10 o'clock, but hasn't yet gotten to 11 o'clock. The minute hand counts by fives, and we get 15. So the time is 10:15. Let's match. Which digital time matches the time shown on the analog clock? Remember to read the hour hand first. The hour hand is the shorthand. The time is 1:10. Which digital time matches the time shown on the analog clock? The time is 3:40. Which digital time matches the time shown on the analog clock? The time is 7:25. Now let's reflect on your learning. How did you do today working towards our learning goals? Thumbs up, I got it. Thumb in the middle, I'm still practicing. Or thumbs down, I still need some help. As I read each one, use your thumb to show where you think your learning is. I'm learning to correctly identify the hands on a clock. Thumbs up, thumb sideways, thumbs down. I'm learning to count by fives to determine time to the nearest 5 minutes. Thumbs up, thumb sideways, thumbs down. And finally, I'm learning to use correct notation to record the time. Thumbs up, thumbs to the side, or thumbs down. This is not easy. It takes a lot of practice to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes. I'm proud of you for trying it out with me today. In today's episode of Math Matters, we learned about how to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes. Try to look for clocks and practice telling time at home today. I'm Mrs. Hale. I hope you have a great day and keep on counting.